collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Gokai, the third entry in the DXrobo universe line from Bandai. So really excited for this one. Gokai has always been one of my favorite mecha, and I thought it'd be really fun to take a look at this today since the Gokaigers are supposed to show up in tonight's episode of Boom Boonger. So really excited for that. Now this is built off the same frame as everything else in the line, so it's going to have compatibility with Bune Diesel and Engino and Tokyo, all the others that have come before, and it sounds like we're getting 2 more entries in this line later on this year, so very excited for that. Front of the box, pretty basic. You just have Engino here, you have Gokai Red hanging out, Gokai Red and Gokai up here on the top as well. Here he is over here on the side, saying this is Volume 3, since it's the third entry in the series. Here are the individual Gokai machines, and then over here on the back showing how it all gets put together, and then of course showing you compatibility with the others in the line. So again, really excited for this one. I'm going to go ahead and get them out of the box and we'll take a closer look. So here are the 5 Gokai machines out of the box. This is basically exactly how they come out of the box. There's a few things you have to do to like get them fully transformed, but really not that much. You also get the head, which I have to say I think they did a pretty good job. The face looks nice, the paint looks good. All of that looks very nice. You just have one clip there on the bottom, so you're going to take blue and you're going to clip that on the top, and then you can kind of fold these down for wings, and then that is blue. Unfortunately, the wings on the side here don't fold down or anything like that, and you can definitely see like the entire head there, but that's what we got for that. Let's see, what else we have to do. We have 2 swords that also came in the packaging, so you're going to push them together like that. And then you're going to take red and open up the front. And then these will slide in right here. And then you can close this back up. And then you just want to take the sail and unclip it, and then spin it around and clip it in there. And there is the Gokai Galleon. Couple of holes there, but that's what we have to work with. So before we get into the combination, I actually do have the DX one handy this time, so I wanted to do a couple direct comparisons one-to-one. Now apologies because my Gokai is very old, very dusty. I bought it secondhand, and apparently a dog or something had chewed the end of the swords, which is kind of a bummer. But just to show you a direct comparison. Now again, I don't really think it's fair to really compare the two, but I just wanted to show them side by side. I mean, obviously, this is the DX version. This has the ability to have, like, the compartments open and everything like that, and this is going for something very, very different. So I'm not really trying to, you know, say, oh, well, the DX is better. Of course the DX is better. It's going to be better. This isn't trying to be the DX, but I just thought it would be fun to give you an idea of how they look side by side. I mean, they both still have those legs hanging out the back, so I feel like that, you know, makes total sense. And they did capture the swords on the front, which I think is a big deal. Obviously, you only have the one sail. But honestly, for the most part, for a downscaled, you know, much cheaper version of the Gokai Galleon, I feel like they hit the important notes. I think they did a pretty decent job. I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, yes, I wish... To me, I feel like maybe it would have made more sense to have the head stay in here, but obviously that's an iconic part of Blues, so it makes sense. But, you know, just something to fill this gap. And then, honestly, I'd be pretty fine with this. I mean, still has the ports on the side, you know, that's... Nothing's changed there. Decent amount of gold paint. I think that all looks pretty sharp. And they even managed to have these, you know, cannon pieces here on the top, like we have up here. So, I gotta say, like I said, you know, knowing that this is a downscaled, cheaper version, with the exception of this real hollow area in the center, I think they did a pretty decent job. Alright, so here are Blues side by side. Now again, mine, when I got it secondhand, is missing the pirate hat, so obviously that would be clipped on here as well. But this is one where I might have to give it to the new one. Yes, it could use a little bit more in terms of paint applications. It does have the Gokaiger logo there, molded on the top. Would have been nice if it was painted. Same with the cockpit, but I get it. I actually kind of like the longer barrel. I think that actually looks kind of cool. This guy, because of the whole compartment gimmick, came off very stunted and fat. And I think this one, because it doesn't have to worry about that, does look a little bit sleeker. Now, it would be nice if these pieces could have folded down for wings or folded up, you know, because it looks like these fold up. But Yeah, I don't know. I gotta say, this one, the new one, might be a little bit better just because it doesn't have to use the gimmick, and that allows it to be a little bit sleeker and just a little bit cooler looking in terms of a jet. Next up, we have green. Honestly, pretty spot on. With the exception of this one having more paint, I think they did a pretty good job. And it's funny because this one is very basic. It's just this piece here clipped onto the skeleton that they've been using. And then this actually like slides completely off. And it just slides back on here. But it works. I mean, you know, it looks like Green's little racer. The fist is not able to be hidden as well as it was on the DX, but yeah, otherwise, really not too bad. Next up, we have yellow. I'll be honest, I'd never really cared for this vehicle. Now, again, of course, DX has a lot of paint and everything. I feel like this definitely could have used a little bit of paint down here on this front cab section. Just something. I mean, the yellow just looks super basic. But everything up here, I think, looks pretty good. I think that's all painted pretty nicely. Because it has, like, the clips and everything, they didn't paint the Gokaiger symbol there. But otherwise, I think this might actually have a little bit more paint. And from the side, it's a little basic there. But still, not too bad. Not too terrible. And then next up we have pink. Again, I never really thought this vehicle was all that exciting, but I think this one is probably the worst representation because it just has like the flat foot. So because this, at least being a submarine, had that little bit of a roundedness, you know, this doesn't have that. You can see a lot of the skeleton exposed here. You know, up top, I think the paint's decent. I really wish they would have painted those Gokaiger symbols around, but other than that, it's very one note. It's just a plank. I mean, not that this one was a ton better, but it had wheels. It had a little bit more paint. But honestly, I mean, they have the... Whoops, as I drop this. You can see the gold on the top. Doesn't go quite as far, but still there. Still present. So, you know, other than it just being kind of a boring slab, it's not bad. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to the combination for these. It's very simple. We're going to take yellow. We're going to pop off both of these pieces underneath, and then we are going to connect this one to the slanted piece here, and that gives it kind of like an ankle tilt, which is pretty cool. Now pink, you're going to just pop this piece off, and it's a little tight because it connects differently. So you can see this one has like a full-on connector that connects into the actual skeleton piece, whereas with yellow, the skeleton piece is kind of completely contained in the like outer armor piece, and this is just connecting into the outer armor piece. So that's why this is a significantly less secure connection. It doesn't take nearly as much force, but you're going to pop that in, and now you have your legs. This extra piece from yellow we're just going to put to the side for the moment, and we'll come back to that. So we're going to take red, we're going to open this back up, we're going to pop off the swords, flip it around, pop these out as you would expect. Pop the sail off, flip it around, and now peg it in this way to the same connection piece. And then you can go ahead and connect your legs. And these can be a little tight, but they will get in there. All right, let me adjust the camera. And I'm sure you can guess the rest. We're just going to take green, and we are just going to connect it on here. Now the directions tell you to kind of flip out the arms a little bit, and you might want to honestly lift these up first because it's a lot easier. And you probably, because this connection is meant to go back like that, you might want to kind of put your finger here, because if you try to connect it, it'll probably push it backwards. But also, you know what, I'm going to leave this off because I always want to put my thumb here, and it's constantly moving that around. So connect that on there, then you can kind of drop this down to however you like that. And then you can take the blue, pop the head off. Same thing, lift this up a little bit and pop this on here. Move this out to the side. There we go. Bring that down. Then I can put the sail piece back on. And then just flip up these pieces. Drop the head right on there. And there we go. There is Gokaiger. We're going to flip around to the back, and we're going to take this little piece that was left over from yellow and just connect it right onto the back here. Like that. And I'm wondering if they're trying to pretend, because you can kind of see the molding in there. I wonder if they're trying to pretend that this is the dial from the DX version, just kind of like a representation / Easter egg for that. Like, that's kind of what I feel like is going on. But yeah, you can just see the entire skeleton here on the back. Now, you can with most of them, so it's not like it's a bad thing or anything like that, but I just think it's funny. The whole skeleton is there on the back. But hey, from the front, he looks pretty good. The only thing I don't like is because of the way this connects. This is all open here on the side. Now, if you want, you could technically take this off and flip it around to cover that up, but now the hand's on the wrong side, so that's gonna look a little ridiculous. But that's my only complaint. I just wish that, and I don't really know what they would have done to prevent that, other than, you know, making this kind of like this where the whole thing slid on. But that's the only bummer, is that that's kind of open there. But other than that, I think it's pretty cool. We'll go ahead and give him his swords. They pop in pretty easily, like so. Now, the only problem is when you go to kind of move the arms up, these are gonna get in the way. So you might have to kind of like lift them up and then just kind of drop them down till they stop. But yeah, not a bad little Gokaiger. Pretty easy to put together, I will say. Holds together pretty well. Articulation-wise, I mean, technically, if you want to give him ankle swivels, you can. You're not really getting anything. I said ankle swivels. I meant thigh swivels. Not going to get anything in the ankle. You can move the arm around, as I showed. Technically, you can move these right here. I guess technically you can move these in and out as well. These move up and down a little bit. Head doesn't move. So you have a little bit of articulation. You're not really going to get any crazy poses. If you try to move these out to the side, it's probably going to pop off the red part of the shell, so that's not going to work. And the thing never kicked forward. That's just, I don't know why they didn't build that into the skeleton, but they just never did. And yeah, so we don't have that, unfortunately. But a little bit of articulation, not too bad. Honestly, you know, I just think he looks good. If you just want a cheaper version of Gokaiger to put on your shelf, I think he definitely looks good. But of course, he does have compatibility with the others as well. We'll get into that in a moment. Just to show, here he is with the DX one. And again, much thicker, has the gimmick of opening all the pieces and everything, all the compartments. This guy doesn't have that, but I do think he is a much sleeker, more stylized. Like, obviously, the chest and the waist, I think, looks so good over here. This is in service to the gimmick. Since this doesn't have that, definitely more stylized. I think the arms look good. Now, again, mine doesn't have a hat, so I do favor this one with the hat, but that's just because mine doesn't have one. But yeah, these pieces, I think, look good. I kind of like them at a little bit more of an angle, as opposed to just kind of sitting up here, which I realize he's a little off camera, but you can see that up there. I wish there was a little bit of paint for the swords, but I get it. I don't have a problem with that. Swords here look good. I do kind of wish he had the holsters, though. I think it would have been neat if they could have had a way to clip the swords onto the side or something like that. You know, maybe put, I don't know, maybe attach it here or here. I don't know how they would have done it, but it would have been neat, because that is something I always thought was so cool about Gokaiger. He can holster both swords on the side. I thought that was always pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, overall, I like the stylized simplicity of this one. You know, he can have kind of more of a waist and the legs look cleaner. Obviously, this is a great toy, and I've always loved this. With the compatibility with the gimmick of opening all the compartments, and then you have the other Gokai machines you can pop in and all the homages and everything. It was such a fun time. But I do like this kind of stylized, more action figure version as well. So yeah, definitely happy to have this one too. And then here he is with Bune Diesel, or Maha Robo, whatever he's called when he's bigger. But yeah, you can see they're using the same frame, so you can see like the legs and stuff are the same. And because of that, the pieces are completely compatible. So I've switched the arms and the legs here. Unfortunately, Bune D's shoulder pads were just a little too much for Gokaiger with these pieces here. I couldn't, even if I tried to put them like all the way up, they just couldn't quite fit in that space and connect, so I had to take them off, which is kind of a shame. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I think this looks really cool. I don't know if we'll see anything like this in the show, but you can definitely move these around. He's got a little bit more range because he doesn't have those big shoulder pads. So yeah, I think that's really neat. Like I said, I hope we see something like this in the show. I don't know yet, but putting Bundy's stuff over here I don't think is as cool, but I do think this looks really cool, especially with the wings. I think that looks pretty neat. I think this is a really fun release. I think this line has definitely been a lot more fun than I ever expected it to be. When they first kind of showed it off, I was like, oh, it's just Zord Builder. And I wasn't a fan of Zord Builder for whatever reason back when Bandai America did it. I don't know why. But for whatever reason, I feel like this is more successful. I think because it doesn't have like as many ridiculous ports and things sticking out, and it's not just kind of glomming on a bunch of pieces and making crazy combinations. You know, it's kind of like new stylized versions of older robots we haven't seen in a while. And I love the Gokaigers. I'm always ready for another adventure with the Gokaigers. So seeing, you know, them come back to the show, I'm really excited about. And I think this is a fun little guy. I mean, like I said, I feel there are certain articulation points with this line that I don't really understand why they didn't put them in. Like having them be able to kick forward or give them knees and stuff like that. But I guess with some of these pieces, like the way this kind of all falls over top of the legs, it really couldn't kick forward because this would get in the way. I feel like it definitely could have knees though. But if you can't kick forward, maybe they figured then what's the point of having knees? I guess I could see that. But I do appreciate that, you know, it has the articulation that it does have. You can move the arms around a decent amount, you know, kind of move these around, which is nice. But yeah, it's a fun little release. It's a nice action figure-esque stylized Gokaio, and I really like the look of it. Certain pieces, I will say, you know, tend to fall off. Like, whenever I'm moving it around, this moves around way too much. The nice thing is, if anything ever falls off, you just pop it right back on. A lot of times when I'm trying to remove the arms, you know, the shoulder pieces slide off before anything else happens, and you just slide them back on. It's not really that big a deal. Although now that I say that, it's going to make me look foolish. Get back on there. Yeah, this one tends to... There we go. It's because it's like at an angle, and it always messes with my mind. In any case, everything can go back on, so if you knock anything off while you're playing with it, it's very easy to pop it all back on. But yeah, he's fun. If you like this line, I think this is an excellent entry into the line. I'm excited for the future releases. It sounds like we're getting Daijujin and Gao King. So those should be really fun as well to mix and match the pieces. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you're a fan of Gokaio and you are just looking for like a fun, easy to transform stylized version, I think this is fun. I mean, these are around $40 or $50 a piece, which I think is very affordable. You know, at this point, trying to get a DX Gokaio is probably pretty pricey. So I'm surprised they don't just reissue older mecha from time to time. I feel like that's something they should do. In any case, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, this is a fun little release, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.